PlayStation's VR system is nearly 6 years old, and during that time it has seen the release of many highly immersive games. Now, the PlayStation blog has posted more of the technical specs for PlayStation VR2, with design images and explanations to entice fans. PSVR2 has excited many gamers since the first announcement, with an official PSVR2 promotional website being created to get people hyped. Along with this, the PlayStation blog post explains what will make the newest version stand out amongst its competitors. The sleek design of the original has been preserved, but also updated to improve user-friendliness. Even though more features are boasted, the PSVR2 headset is slimmer than the first and also weighs less, which will help make VR usage more comfortable. Other technical improvements include a lens adjustment dial to give users an active choice in optimizing the lens distance and view while playing. One of the most important updates to the hardware is the addition of a new vent to disperse heat better, which neatly addresses the issue of lens fogging up due to heat generated by the headset. It is clear a lot of thought has gone into improving upon the original PSVR headset hardware. The first collection of PSVR equipment and games were released in 2016, 3 years after the PlayStation 4 was introduced. Now, with the PS5 just over a year old, PSVR2 is set to be released alongside games for the PS5 console with massive improvements. The payoff is already looking to be successful, as noted by Yujin Morisawa, the senior art director for Sony Interactive Entertainment, who mentioned in the blog post, "I am really proud of how this turned out and the positive feedback I have gotten so far. I hope our PlayStation fans will also agree, and I can't wait for them to try PSVR2 out." Despite the financial success seen from PSVR over the past few years, many are not yet sold on the idea for differing reasons. Some of PSVR's most immersive and popular games include Beat Saber, Super Hot VR, and Astro Bot Rescue Mission, to name a few. The announcement of PSVR2 has produced many theories about game releases that could come to the PS5 in the future, either native to VR or ports of best-selling games that would greatly benefit from an immersive virtual experience. This latest in-depth announcement for what PSVR2 promises its users will be another strong step for the future of gaming. We have discussed about the VR and its specs in previous videos. If you want the complete info on the tech, you can check out these videos in the captions. I really like the design of the PlayStation VR2 headset, and PlayStation is likely to reveal the price and launch date and games on a big event alongside with a PS5 showcase and the future of gaming. Last week, Capcom made headlines after launching a mysterious countdown website that just ended. While many hoped that the countdown would lead to the reveal of Resident Evil Village's highly anticipated DLC, it turned out to be the official announcement of Street Fighter VI. While the official confirmation of the sequel may have taken some by surprise, it is worth noting that rumors about Street Fighter VI have been rampant online. Not to mention, the Street Fighter franchise is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year, making 2022 a reasonable time for the studio to talk about a new mainline Street Fighter game. Before the announcement, several pieces of evidence pointed to Street Fighter VI being Capcom's next big project. One such clue was from a massive Capcom hack that transpired in 2020, which revealed a document revealing that Street Fighter VI will be released in 2022. Of course, given that Capcom is yet to announce the game's release date, it is possible that Street Fighter May 6 not come until early 2023. Despite this, the fact that Capcom has revealed that Street Fighter VI is in development is a step in the right direction. The official announcement of Street Fighter VI was accompanied by a short trailer. Unfortunately, the teaser doesn't show any actual gameplay, which may indicate that the game is still in its early stages. Additionally, the trailer showing the iconic character Ryu suggests that Street Fighter VI would feature a more realistic art style than its predecessors. Capcom says that it will be revealing more information this summer, which would hopefully unveil Street Fighter VI's release date. Although it is yet to be seen what Street Fighter VI has to offer, I hope that it will see a better launch than its predecessor, Street Fighter V. It is worth remembering that the response to Street Fighter V, released in 2016, did not live up to Capcom's expectations. However, subsequent releases such as Street Fighter V Arcade Edition and Street Fighter V Champion Edition received a better response from fighting game fans. Street Fighter VI will be developed with the participation of former Street Fighter producer Yoshinori Ono, who left Capcom last year after nearly 30 years with the company. There is also another big name that was working under Aniplex, which is a subsidiary of Sony Music, who is also assisting the project. So, it could be possible that Sony makes some moves here and make it a console exclusive, as they have some leverage with owning EVO now. But it could be also possible that Capcom makes it for all platforms. Sony funded Street Fighter V to be made, as Capcom was in a very bad state in the early 2010 to 2016. Now, they are in a better state than ever, so it could go both ways. We have to wait and see. Capcom's fighting game franchise has been a video game industry staple for 3.5 decades, and the developer honored the series' 35th anniversary with an announcement that fans have been waiting to hear for a long time. With the confirmation that Street Fighter VI is officially in development, players that enjoy one of the highest-grossing video game franchises of all time have something to look forward to again. While the reception for Street Fight V might have been a little lukewarm compared to the success of some of its predecessors, hopefully Street Fighter VI can learn the lessons from its launch and give players something truly incredible. While Street Fighter VI's development was half-leaked during the massive data breach that Capcom suffered, fans are no doubt relieved to have it officially confirmed through the brief teaser shown at the end of the Capcom Pro Tour fighting game exhibition. Street Fighter V was released in 2016, and since then Capcom has been relatively quiet on the franchise. Although Street Fighter V Arcade Edition was released in 2018, and Street Fighter V Champion Edition came in 2020 to switch up the base game and add new characters, the intervening 6 years have brought little news of the franchise's continuation. Along with the periodic release of some DLC chapters to keep Street Fighter fans placated, the final addition of a new character to Street Fighter V was teased by Capcom as a link to the next installment, leading to much speculation of what his future significance might be. Street Fighter V's final DLC fighter, Luke, was a brand new character to the franchise, and would reportedly have a large role in the events of Street Fighter VI. This was confirmed in the brief trailer for Street Fighter VI, which shows a very buff Ryu with his iconic red headband facing off against the newcomer Luke. It has been theorized by fans that Capcom may be setting Luke up to take over Ryu's poster boy status for the game, especially as the red headband-wearing badass personal story arc seems to have been wrapped up during the events of Street Fighter V. Although the teaser does not show any actual game footage, the realistic designs and attention to detail when it comes to musculature and movement articulation could be an indication that the series will embrace a less cartoonish aesthetic for Street Fighter VI. With only a short teaser trailer to go on and not much else, details surrounding Street Fighter VI are still vague and fairly limited. Seeing Luke and Ryu preparing for a bout in the highly stylized and atmospheric clip is an exciting insight for fans, particularly seeing series staple Ryu in such impressive shape, but many will want to know when the game will be released, and on what platforms it will be available. While players may not have these details yet, Capcom has promised that more information will be on the way this summer. With Street Fighter V's initial slightly rough and bug-ridden launch, it makes sense that Capcom would want to take its time with Street Fighter VI's release. That being said, fans have already been waiting patiently for the next installment, and with only a very brief teaser to go on, a lot of their curiosity hasn't yet been sated. Rumors circulated the game's development, including some apparent internal delays after the departure of Street Fighter executive producer Yoshinori Ono, who had been with Capcom for almost 30 years. Ono was reportedly set to be Street Fighter VI's director, but with rumors about poor test feedback and a switch-up in the game's direction, Street Fighter VI might still be a little while away. Ever since the first arcades in the 80s, fighting games have been a staple of the medium. The genre has survived through the decades, all the while gaining a dedicated fan base, and more recently, developing its own esports scene. If there is one franchise that undoubtedly pioneered fighting games, it's Street Fighter. Rumors floated around for a while about the next installment in the series, and the expectations were at a fever pitch with the hype of Capcom Fighting Collection pushing the envelope. Street Fighter V brought a lot of novelty to the franchise, and despite a few bumps at launch, it eventually became a respectable addition that lived up to the series name. Of course, a new entry is expected to improve upon its predecessors and innovate. If Street Fighter V was a mix between a messy launch and some interesting new elements, Street Fighter VI should improve upon the foundations laid by its predecessor. Street Fighter may 5 have eventually reached a threshold of acceptability, but Capcom must make sure that Street Fighter VI hits the ground running. For one, it should definitely fix any netcode issues before launch, which goes without saying. Most importantly, Capcom should avoid releasing the game prematurely before it's finished, and then try patching it up later, like how Capcom handled Street Fighter V. Street Fighter VI should also definitely have a good tutorial mode to make the game more palatable for new players. It should not only be an introduction to Street Fighter, but fighting games in general. Fighting games never reached the same heights as MOBA or FPS, so attracting new players in this manner is always a plus. Capcom could also consider adding hitboxes and expanded frame data as a proper feature in the game. Therefore, players won't need to download an outside program to know the frame data or range of a move. For some reason, this is a component that has remained hidden in fighting games. While this feature would be more interesting for competitive players, even casual fans could use it to understand how fighting games work at their core. Another staple of modern gaming to consider is the games as a service model. By its last season, Street Fighter V had one patch every year or season. One way to improve upon this would be to establish a consistent update schedule with perhaps 2 patches per season. That way, Capcom can release brand new content like new characters every season, while the mid-season patch would be there to balance the game as needed. If a move is too powerful, it can be nerfed, and if a character is too weak, it can be buffed. At the end of the day, updating is a balancing act. If there are too many updates, it becomes difficult to enjoy the game, but if there aren't enough, then issues go unresolved, and players end up starved for new content or otherwise frustrated by an unbalanced game. Street Fighter V marked a significant shift by reworking the Street Fighter IV mechanics. The focus attacks that were a linchpin in Street Fighter IV were replaced with the V-gauge and everything that came with it. Overall, if a similar version of that mechanic is to remain, it could do with a few tweaks. For example, a thicker stun gauge and a less subtle sound effect signaling that there is enough V-meter to activate would help players be more aware of it. Capcom could even improve upon older mechanics and integrate them in Street Fighter VI. One such mechanic could be a guard-crushing mechanic not unlike the one in Street Fighter Alpha 3. Once upon a time, Street Fighter had a praiseworthy story. Street Fighter II was lauded for its multiple endings, and the plot showed that the developer had put a lot of effort into it, despite the limitations of the era. However, that standard really wasn't held up over time. There is no need for a Street Fighter plot to reinvent the wheel, nor does it need be too easy, and Capcom has a lot to work with. The franchise already has a colorful cast of characters from Chun-Li to Bison, with some amazing actors to voice them. All those characters really need is an excuse to compete in a martial arts tournament, and a personal reason to strive for victory. That is the essence of fighting games, after all. Over the 35 years since the release of the first Street Fighter in arcades in 1987, Capcom has become one of the biggest juggernauts in the world of fighting games. Between the massive success of staple franchises like the iconic Street Fighter and collaborating with one of the biggest publishers in the world in Marvel vs. Capcom, the Japanese developer has solidified itself as a fighting game titan. Now, with Street Fighter celebrating its 35th anniversary in 2022, Capcom has officially announced Capcom Fighting Collection as a tribute to many of the company's lesser-known franchises. Over the years, Capcom has produced plenty of classic fighting games aside from the widely recognized Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom franchises. Capcom's gothic horror series Darkstalkers was a cult classic when it hit arcades and home consoles in the late 1990s, and the lesser-known Red Earth was a popular title following its 1996 release. Now, with one of Capcom's most storied franchises reaching a major anniversary this year, Capcom has kicked off the celebrations with a collection of not only Street Fighter, but a whole slew of fighting games, including some seeing a Western release for the first time. Capcom Fighting Collection was officially revealed Monday morning through Capcom's official YouTube channel, with the compilation containing 10 games from the Street Fighter and Darkstalkers series, as well as the previously mentioned Red Earth. Hyper Street Fighter 2 will join several of the franchise's spin-offs, like Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, as well as classic games like Darkstalkers: The Night Warriors. The collection will notably be the first time Vampire Hunter 2 Darkstalkers Revenge and Vampire Savior 2 The Lord of Vampire will see a Western release, with both arcade games previously being Japan exclusive. Capcom also made several announcements relating to enhancements being made to the collection of games featured in Capcom Fighting Collection. The game will include a full gallery complete with official art and design documents for the 10 games, alongside minor in-game settings like saving mid-game and EX settings. Every game in the collection will also include both ranked and casual lobbies for online play, with Capcom also emphasizing that the fighting games will all feature rollback netcode when the collection releases on June 24th. For many of the franchises featured in Capcom Fighting Collection, the upcoming compilation will be the first new release in several years. Darkstalkers has not seen a new game since the release of Darkstalkers Resurrection as a compilation of 2 previous Darkstalkers games in 2013, while Red Earth has never been released past its initial arcade version. While Street Fighter has become iconic among Capcom's franchises, Capcom Fighting Collection will look to serve as an homage to Capcom's past as Street Fighter looks ahead to the future. After 35 years in the video game market, from the arcade to the Nintendo Switch, Street Fighter has become an iconic fighting game franchise. Being the latest installment in such a legendary franchise means there is a lot to live up to for Street Fighter 6.
All right, you ready?
Street Fighter 6.
The Call of Duty franchise is notable for a lot of reasons, though its annual releases are perhaps one of its biggest defining factors. Each year a new game releases, and each year it takes home the prize of best-selling game. However, that could be slated to change in 2023 according to Bloomberg. A report states that Call of Duty 2023 will be delayed, which would mark the first time that no new Call of Duty game will release in a calendar year since the first game was released back in 2003. The report didn't dive into the specifics about why Activision is delaying the 2023 entry, though it may be motivated, in part, by the technical challenges that 2021's Call of Duty Vanguard has faced since launch. Recently, Infinity Ward confirmed that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 would release in 2022, with both games being jewels in Call of Duty's industry-dominating crown. If the delay is accurate, it means that Modern Warfare 2 will receive far more support than most entries do, and Warzone 2 will likely be treated with more care. Activision's financials would be heavily impacted by such a delay, leading to an entirely new suite of challenges for the publisher. It's unclear if Microsoft's Activision acquisition has anything to do with the reported delay, though it is a likely reason for the game to be pushed back. Microsoft has been steadily emphasizing its reliance on marquee AAA releases, an attempt to compete with Sony's blockbuster PlayStation exclusive games. While Call of Duty will maintain its multi-platform status, it's easy to see how a messy release could reflect poorly on Microsoft, especially if it's the first new entry under its umbrella. While Microsoft's acquisition hasn't closed yet, it's slated to be finalized in June 2023, with Call of Duty 2023 likely releasing just a few months later if it's not pushed back. It's not outrageous to imagine Microsoft delaying a Call of Duty game either, as Halo Infinite was delayed a year to focus on quality, but released incomplete and uninspiring. While nothing has been confirmed, such a move could have a massive impact on future releases if all goes well. The story reported by Bloomberg was later updated to include the statement from Activision. The statement does not deny the claim that the 2023 entry in the Call of Duty franchise is officially delayed, but it does not outright reject the notion. The statement also gives no specifics as to what will come next for the franchise, but it sounds confident that there will be some form of Call of Duty content coming in 2023. Call of Duty Vanguard has made a disappointing mark in the fanbase. The franchise is steadily releasing constant content in Vanguard and Warzone, while dealing with the ongoing internal and in-game issues. The 2022 entry to the series has long been rumored to be the sequel to the Modern Warfare reboot series that was released in 2019, as well as a sequel to the free-to-play Warzone 2 Battle Royale mode. Treyarch, who would be slated to develop the 2023 Call of Duty game, would still support some development of Warzone 2, but its focus would be primarily on using the extra time to make the Call of Duty game that would come in 2024. The initial report stated that the decision to skip a 2023 Call of Duty release was not influenced by the recent Microsoft acquisition. Even after the deal goes through in summer 2023, Activision will still operate independently. Time will tell how the company will proceed with its strategy towards Call of Duty in 2023 and beyond. Call of Duty's huge fanbase, as well as its prominence in the video game sphere, means that the series is in a prime position to handle a slight postponement in the Warfare festivities. While many smaller developers would surely be far harder hit by a delay of its project, Activision and Treyarch have the resources to manage such a comparatively significant delay. A well-earned break in the much-loved and equally loathed Call of Duty series was something that many has seen coming for a good long while now, but its delay could ultimately prove largely inconsequential. Moving forward, an official console RPG and MMORPG based on the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender are said to be reportedly in development. Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the most beloved animated shows that continues to grow years after it was first released. Whether it be through its characters, story, or overall world building, fans have found something to love about the franchise. This has produced a variety of media over the years, including comics, to a live-action adaptation of Avatar on Netflix, spin-offs, and video games. Video games in particular for the franchise were developed by third-party companies to mixed review scores. The last video game developed with the Avatar license was a set of Legend of Korra-based adventures published by Activision in 2014. One of which was a third-person beat-em-up action adventure by Platinum Games for major consoles, while the 3DS received a strategy RPG in a similar vein to Fire Emblem. Both of these games posted similarly mixed scores, with no further games ever since. However, reportedly new AAA video games set in the world of Avatar are in development. Reported on Avatar News, details were shared about 2 out of 4 games in development, with the Square Enix-developed Avatar mobile game announced last year being included as one of the 4. At least one of these games will feature the original Avatar: The Last Airbender characters, though will be recast with new Asian and indigenous voice actors. The article makes a note that this casting applies to the voice acting cast for the games, and not the cast of the live-action Netflix show. The article notes that these games have been in development for a few years, and states that the release dates will be quite soon. It also describes the genres that these Avatar: The Last Airbender games will be taking after, with RPG being the main one, but they may feature mechanics that are present in action-adventure games as well. The article notes that there are no specific details regarding gameplay or anything else. In regard to the MMORPG, the details about it are also quite sparse. This includes no details for platforms it will be targeting, or if the MMO will be linked to the aforementioned console game. The studios involved for these 2 games are working in collaboration with Paramount's Avatar Studios, but have yet to be disclosed. Regardless, this news might be exciting for Avatar fans, and with the games being a collaboration project with the original creators, these new video games can help expand on lore. While it's hard to say which game will focus on Avatar: The Last Airbender's main characters, it seems likely that it's the RPG, since players probably won't get to play as the avatar cast in the MMORPG. If that's the case, the single-player RPG is probably tempted to take place during Avatar: The Last Airbender itself, recounting Aang's rise as an avatar and the final year of the 100 Years' War with the Fire Nation. That setting makes sense, but frankly it's not ideal. Plenty of previous Avatar: The Last Airbender video games have retold the show's plot, so the RPG wouldn't be particularly unique if it focused on the show's events. Instead, the RPG's developers should consider looking to The Last Airbender's comic books for inspiration. There's quite a few comics about Team Avatar's adventures after the original show's conclusion, which show how the Avatar world started to change after the war. This complicated time in Avatar history is a great setting for the RPG, since it offers tons of storytelling opportunities about changing societies and Team Avatar's adolescence and young adulthood. It'd also be a great way to bring the comics to life for Avatar fans who haven't read them. Ideally, the MMORPG won't focus on Avatar: The Last Airbender's events either. The MMO will be more compelling if players don't just support Team Avatar's actions, instead fighting a wide variety of enemies as opposed to mainly Fire Nation soldiers. Luckily, the Avatar world offers the MMO lots of valuable options. For instance, the Legend of Korra's general time period seems worth exploring in an MMO, thanks to its complicated politics and advanced technology. Alternatively, the Avatar MMO could focus on a time long before Avatar: The Last Airbender, putting the era of Avatar Kyoshi or another earlier Avatar in the spotlight for once. It's great to hear that Avatar: The Last Airbender is back in action. The show was a cultural heavyweight in the early 2000s and remains beloved to this day. It's even better to hear that Avatar Studios is interested in telling new stories in the Avatar world, rather than relying on retellings of the original Avatar. Hopefully, the IP's future is defined by creative projects that build on top of the established lore by trying out new time periods. The upcoming RPG and MMORPG are two particularly good opportunities to uncover new details of the Avatar world. And that's all for the video, guys. Like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics, and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then, from SMPV, it's goodbye.